Ohio Congressman Jim Jordan is with me this morning. Congressman, the House has left D.C. McCarthy didn't get his bill through.
Yep.
What is the Republican Party going to do with those 6 holdouts?
Well, we'll keep working through it. I think, sometimes democracy gets messy. Well, what did Churchill say? Democracy is the worst form of government there is, except for all the others. So we'll get through this. I do think what needs to happen on the stopgap measure is we should fund the government for a short period of time while we work through the remaining appropriation bills. We got some work to do there.
Well,
but fund it for a short period of time.
Can't you tell these 6 holdouts that? Can't you tell them that? I mean,
we've been
the
trying.
Republican Party at this moment is wildly unpopular out there, you know?
Well, we've been trying, but you got to put something on there that I think the American people want us to get done while we fund the government for that short period of time.
Well,
and the issue is obvious.
Wait, sir,
look at our southern border. So I would include on that package one simple thing, which says no taxpayer money will be used to process or release migrants into the country. Stop it. The mayor of New York wants that. Everyone wants that. Republicans, Democrats. So I would put that on the bill, and then I would send it to the Senate and dare Chuck Schumer say, okay, Mr. Schumer, you're going to allow the government to shut down because you want to keep the border open? I mean, that is so obvious to me why we wouldn't do that. And that's what we're working to try to build a coalition around.
Why don't you say that
in
to
our
these
party
6 holdouts?
And send the vote over there.
It sounds like a good idea to me. Why haven't you put that to these 6 holdouts? What's wrong?
Well, I think we should actually call that bill up and call the question. I think our members would vote for it. And frankly, I think some Democrats might vote for it, including Hakeem Jeffries, who just called it extremist. I don't think that bill's extremist. I think that bill's common sense. And his mayor in New York has talked about the huge problem he's facing. So I would put that bill on the floor. Fund the government for 4 weeks while we work through the remainder of these appropriation bills, but include on that bill no money, no American tax dollars can be used to process and release any new migrants into the country. So we stop this crazy situation that the Biden administration has created, and they've done so intentionally. And put that, I bet Democrats would consider voting for that. They should. Hakeem Jeffries should. His mayor has talked about how bad this problem is. So that's how I would do it.
Congressman, former President Trump is encouraging House Republicans to shut the government down. Is that the best way to go about this?
I don't think anyone wants a shutdown. I tell you another thing we could add to the bill, though. Put on that same bill that I just described, say no money can be used to target your political opponents, which is exactly what Jack Smith is doing to President Trump. And Joe Biden supports that. Put that question there and say, President Biden, you really think it's okay to have American tax dollars used to go after your political opponent? Put that on the bill as well. I think that gets Republican support, may not get Democrat support because they kind of like the idea of weaponized government against their opposition. But I could put that on the bill, too. But those are the kind of things I think make sense and the American people support. No one wants a shutdown. What we want is to do the things the American people sent us to Washington to do.
All right, sir. Hunter Biden will appear in court October 3rd for his arraignment on gun charges. Where are we on the Hunter probe? Can you just give us a state of play on this, please?
Well, we continue to depose witnesses. We've now talked to 4 individuals who were part of the Hunter Biden investigations. That's what we're focused on doing in the Judiciary Committee. The House Oversight Committee is scheduled to have a hearing next week where I think they will outline the authority that we have as the House of Representatives when we're in an impeachment inquiry phase of our constitutional duty to do oversight. So we're going to proceed, just keep doing our duty. Once we're now in this phase of impeachment inquiry, as Speaker McCarthy announced 2 weeks ago, that helps us because we are functioning out of the power that solely resides in the House of Representatives of the impeachment power. And if, in fact, we get into the inevitable disputes with the executive branch, courts have been more inclined to side with the House because we're functioning and operating under a power that exclusively resides with the House. But that first hearing is scheduled for next Thursday in the House Oversight Committee, where I think we're going to have an outline and show the American people, first, why this is warranted, all the facts that require us to move to this stage of our investigation, and then the authority that you do have when you're in an impeachment inquiry phase.
Congressman, you're a busy guy, but thank you very much for being with us today. We do appreciate it, always. Thank you very much, sir. Okay.